welcome or welcome back to 4F Beauty. When will I be YouTube famous? And that little giggle was hubby over there because he got so used to when I was watching Manny's little giggle. Whenever he hears someone say, "Welcome to my channel," he does that. Even though I don't really watch Manny anymore. But, you know, it's something that hubby does, and as you can hear, he's giggling away on the other side of the kitchen. Right, to try and get this intro back on track, the tutorial that I've done today, as you can see, is a nice summery tutorial. Again, I used Jeffrey's palette, the new one, but the big difference today is that I didn't use foundation. So this whole look has been achieved without needing foundation, because let's face it, in the summer when it's warm you don't always want to put foundation on. So if you want to see how I achieved this look, you're in just the right place. Here it comes. Hey, welcome back from the intro. Right, I don't know if I've told you yet in the intro, because obviously I haven't filmed it yet, but when it's really hot, even when I use this, I still have issues of such severe face sweats with pain and everything, that even this doesn't keep my foundation on. So I very often have days when I don't wear any foundation at all, and I thought it might be a good one to show you, to show that you can still do you know, a pretty made up look without needing foundation. I have cleaned my face this morning, and now I'm going to go in with this. This is the moisturiser that I use for during the day, and this has SPF in it. Now, if it didn't have SPF in it, after applying this, I would then put sunscreen on, because the most important thing you can do for your skin is wear sunscreen. Now, I don't care what colour you are, I don't care how deep your skin is, you need sunscreen. If you don't do anything else to your face, you need to do this. And that includes boys as well, because their skin can be affected by the sun just as much as girls can. So I'm just going to rub this all in and carry it down. Include my ears and carry it just down my neck there. There we go. Now, let's zoom you in a minute. Oh, look at that. I haven't quite blended that in properly. Thank you, high def camera. Right, now as you can see, I do still have dark circles because my eyes are so deep set. And you can see, you know, I've got, I think it's known as raccoon staining, where your eyes are so deep that all your blood vessels are closer to the skin, so it looks like, I mean, you can see it looks like I've already blended a lovely brown eyeshadow on there, which is great for days when you're really running late. But obviously I'm going to want to cover these up. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of Maybelline Fit Me, which I've got in shade 05. Can I get it? There we go. And I just use a flat foundation brush for spreading this out. As you know, I don't do the huge great triangles that you see people do on camera, because one, I'm not in my 20s anymore, and two, you just don't need that much. You know, that looks great on camera, but in real life you look like you've really caked it on. Hay fever, I currently have quite a red nose. And I had a couple of visitors there which left their mark. nice of them. So I'm just going to gently just pat this in. I leave my eyes for last because I find that apart from with Shape Tape and the Makeup Rev Conceal and Define, because those ones dry down too quick, I do find that if you give your concealer a couple of minutes to dry down before you start blending it out, you do actually get just a wee bit more coverage from it. So you use less of it, which saves you money. And if you're the wrong side of 40 like I am, it doesn't settle into fine lines quite as much. So you can see I'm just blending that in, and then always remember that little dimple there on the inside of your nose, because on most people that will be quite dark, because you've got veins quite close to the skin just there. And it's amazing how, if that's dark, it can really make your face look tired and sort of as if you've not slept all night. Which, I actually got 4 hours sleep last night. For me, that's quite good. Woke up 3 times during the night, mind. But I actually got more than 3 hours, which for me was a good night. But those of you with chronic pain will sympathise and empathise, because you know what it's like. You don't really get very restful sleep. You're like constantly waking up through it. So I'm just glad when I can get more than 3 hours, because I find that very tiring. I know Margaret Thatcher managed to work on like 2 hours sleep a night, but I swear that woman wasn't human. Right, so I will clean this off in just a minute with a face wipe. Let's get on with the face. Now I'm going to set it with my Coty Air Spun, which I absolutely love this powder. I use the translucent extra coverage, and with this, I was out the other day visiting a mate of mine, Rachel, and she's like, "Oh, I like your foundation." I'm like, "I haven't got any foundation on. I've got concealer and I've got Coty on," and she was just amazed. But I use like an eyeshadow brush for setting my eyes, just to make sure it's totally set and doesn't move anywhere. And yes, I know there's a current, the current in thing is to not set your eye primer or concealer or whatever you use to prime your lids with, and to go straight in with the pigment, which I did actually try in my Pastel Princess video, but I've got to be honest, I didn't really see a huge amount of difference in how well the colours sort of looked, because I'm super pale anyway, so I'm lucky in that respect, because all the colours do show up really well on me because my skin's so pale. It's something numerous tattoo artists have commented in the past, that their work looks really bright and punchy on me because my skin is so pale. Even though I'd love to be a little bit darker than I am, because particularly in the summer when you're posing for photographs with your mates and you look like Casper the Clown compared to them. I'm just going to set any bits that I put concealer on with this brush, just so it doesn't move it around too much. Let's just get that concealer set like you would do if you put a foundation on, basically, just making sure it's completely set so it doesn't move around too much. So that's those bits set. And then I go in with a big old fluffy brush, and normally I would stipple at this point because I'd be setting a foundation. I don't need to. I can go straight in and swipe today because there's no foundation to worry about dislodging. Because we've already set the concealer we put down. I love this coaty powder, it's so finely milled. It does fly everywhere. You do end up with coaty powder all over the show, all over your top, which is why I tend to wear usually just a vest top or an old t-shirt even when I'm filming. I'll usually wear a top that I'm not actually going to wear out because, you know, coaty powder over everything, not always the best look. You can see I do go quite pink, but that will settle down. It's only because my skin is very reactive to any kind of sort of touch and pressure. It automatically, you know, brings more blood to that particular area, more blood flow, which I'm lucky because, you know, I'm sure that's one of the reasons that my skin stays as hydrated as it does, because it reacts that quickly. Just dust some coaty off my top. I am still going to bronze and I am still going to put some blush on, but obviously I'm not going to use quite as much because when you put foundation on, you basically wiped all the colour out of your face, and you can still see I've still got a fair amount of colour in mine because it's literally just the coaty powder. So I'm going to go with my Winky Lux bronzer and just basically I'm aiming from the top of my ear to the corner of my mouth, just to emphasise my thankfully quite high cheekbones. And I'll just continue it up just around the edge of my face there, just to warm it up. You know, basically we're doing an E or a 3 this side. Now normally that is where you would contour rather than bronze. I only contour when I'm feeling particularly puffy. You know, ladies, that sort of 7 to 10 days out of every month when you're feeling a bit I tend to contour then, or if I'm going to something like a wedding when I know there's going to be a lot of photography done and I could get caught from all kinds of angles. But I normally just bronze where I would normally contour. If you want me to do a separate little mini video where I cover where to contour, where to bronze, then let me know. And I will add that to the list. I've got quite a growing list at the moment. So just along my jawbone there to try and minimise the extra chinage. Right, and now I'm going to go in with, you've probably guessed it because at the moment it is my favourite blush, and it's this L'Oreal Life's a Peach. This one. Where I'm cool toned, apricot looks really, really pretty. I think apricot is a colour that works on most skin tones, whether you're cool or warm undertoned, but with me I really like the way it warms my skin up. And then if I do start blushing or I do get hot and my natural pink comes through, it doesn't look too much, whereas if I go in with a very pink blush, if I then get hot and my colour raises, I can look a little bit like Coco the Clown. And as I have coulrophobia, that's not a good look. Right, so you can see I'm just doing all the usual steps, I'm just not putting foundation on with it. And then I'm going to go in with, I'm really quite liking this L'Oreal Brow Expert at the moment because it's the same sort of, it's the same kind of shape, at the end as the Benefit Goof Proof brow pencil sample that I had, and I really like that. So let's zoom you into the eyes. Whoa! There we go. I'm just gonna brush through them, make sure I've not got any lumps of coatie sticking in them, or try and get the brow hairs going in the direction that I want them to. And then I'm just gonna fill them in with the pencil end, basically. Start with the bottom and then decide where I want the top of my brow to be. My brows are finally starting to come back after a combination of overplucking in the 90s and medication making them fall out a few months ago. So I'm lucky, I just have to really just define them and fill in a few gaps where they're still a little bit sparse. And just deepen them up a wee bit so that when I've put eyeshadow on, they don't sort of disappear or lose impact. So this is quite a cool tone one. I think the shade is actually Cool Brunette. The Essence pomade pencil that I like is a warmer brown. So really it just depends on my mood, but at the moment I'm quite liking my brows being a little bit cooler and a little bit darker. I don't think Essence do a cooler version, they just have light brown, dark brown and black and blonde, I think. Black obviously is going to be way too dark for me. So, and I'm going to use my Barry M Take a Brow, because it's got a nice small spoolie. And then I tend to brush the front bits up and then scooch them along and then flick the tail at the end. So I kind of fluff up the front bit, kind of like back combing it almost if it was your hair, and then scooch it across and then just flick off at the tail, just to try and keep them roughly where I want them. And did you guess? Did you guess I was going to use Thirsty? Well, I mean, the first look that I did, I only used two of the shimmer shades, and I used them as like accents. So I did like a thin stripe at the end and the inner corner and just a little bit there. So this time I want to use more of them. But before I do that, I need to start with some mattes. Now, I'm just cleaning my brush off in my colour switch here. You can see the colours I tapped off yesterday. I normally just do that with the end of it just to push those through. These colour switches are great. You don't have to buy the Veramona ones that cost a fortune. I got this off of eBay for a couple of quid, and it just takes all the excess off of the brush. That red is actually staining. That will lighten up when I wash them. But in terms of, there's no pigment coming off of there now, so I know that when I put a colour on it's not going to be affected. Right, when I look straight ahead you can see all of my mobile eyelid, so I don't have a hooded brow. Hooded lid. So I can just follow the physical shape of my eyeball, and I'm lucky where I've got deep set eyes, I've got a lot of space between my crease and my brow. Now, if when you look ahead you don't see all of your mobile lid, all you need to do is get a finer brush like a pencil brush or a liner brush, and with your eye open just sketch where you would need your crease to fall. It is literally just a case of moving your crease up to where it can be seen. That will of course reduce the amount of space between your crease and your brow, so you may want to start with a slightly smaller brush, but it does need to be a loose pack, right? It needs to be a blending brush because we're going to be really fluffing out the first lot of colours. And I always hold the brush right at the end so I put as little pressure onto my actual eyelid as possible. Right, although I have set the colours on my eye, although I have set, I'm losing my mind, folks. Although I have set my concealer with my coty powder, if there is a colour in the palette that you're using which is close to your skin tone, I do find that mattes from the same palette do tend to blend better on themselves. And there is a shade in here called Parched, which is pretty much my skin tone. So I'm just going to pick that up and just sweep that from brow down to lash line. You're not really going to see it going on because it's literally the same colour as my skin. But it will just give them the mattes, you know, an even better base to blend on. If you don't have one that is close to your skin tone, don't worry, you know, so long as you've set it with your powder, then you'll be fine to start blending over. I just find that this is helpful if there is a shade that matches you in the palette. I just find it makes them even easier to blend out. Right, I am the only one of the mattes that I didn't use on the first tutorial that I did with this is Subtle, which is a very cool toned light brown. So I'm going to go in with that one to start with. Yeah, there's a fair amount of kick up in that pan there, look. But what I do is I just leave the kick up on there, and then when I go next time round, I just gently lay the brush down and pick up the excess. I've tapped off, you heard that, and now I'm going to start off by windscreen wipering through my crease like this, or wherever your crease needs to be. You can see, look, that the skin on my eyelid folds and moves where I'm older and I've lost a lot of weight, so that's why I go backwards and forwards quite a bit to try and make sure there's as few gaps as possible. But the best way to ensure there's no gaps is to do circles, which I'm just about to do. So I've just picked up the excess off of the top, and I'm going to start at this edge. I'm just going to do really gentle circles through to the inner corner, lift the brush up a little bit, reverse the direction of the circles, and come back out again. And I'm going to continue that and just work my way up until I've blended it out as high as I want it to. Now I normally go to within sort of 5 or 6 mils of the lowest part of my brow. Once I've done that and I'm happy with the depth of colour, I'm going to go into my colour switch and take any extra pigment off, and then very gently do little short windscreen wipers backwards and forwards, up and down, just to make sure it's absolutely blended and there's no gaps anywhere. And browns are the easiest colour to blend out, as you can see, because that was just no problem at all. But then I didn't have any issue with the other shades in the palette either. So, but the most difficult colours to formulate and blend so that they are non-patchy are purples, blues and reds. Which is why if I've got a palette with any of those colours in, normally for my first impression or my first review, I will actually use one or all of those colours, because it will give me, if they can get the difficult colours right, then I know there's a good chance that the rest of the palette will be blending just as well, if not better. So that is a tip for you when you get a new palette. If it's got a purple, a blue or a red in it, use those colours first if you can, because that will, if they can get those difficult colours right, then you're pretty sure you've got a good palette on your hands. So there we go. It's actually looking like almost like a butterscotchy colour. It looks warmer on my lid than it does in the pan. Quite like that actually. Right, I'm cleaning off my colour switch. And I'm going to go into Beach, which is the really beautiful coral in the middle of the top row. And I'm going to repeat with this one what I've just done, but I'm not going to carry it quite as high up the eye. So I'm going to start off by windscreen wipering, and then pick up the excess off the top of that pan and tap off. And then this time when I blend, I'm just going to blend it along the crease. I'm not going to lift it up at all. I'm just sort of literally, so it takes it about halfway up the previous colour that we put down. And I'm just gently going backwards and forwards, just making sure that I'm slowly building the pigment up. I much prefer shadows to be buildable than to go on too heavy straight away, because then you get an issue that it doesn't blend very well. Subculture was the perfect example of that. It was just too pigmented. But this, as you can see, has blended out beautifully. So I'm now going to repeat that process on my other eye. And I know that my tutorials are longer than most people's, but that's because I don't speed any of it up. Because I want you to have I want you to be able to have a good idea of how long it's actually going to take you to do an eye look or to do a face look. Because you watch a 20-minute tutorial, you've only got 20 minutes to get ready. There's no way you're going to be able to do it following most of the tutorials, because the majority of them speed stuff up, or they say, I'll do this side and then I'll do the other eye off camera. So yeah, although it makes my tutorials a bit longer, I think it gives you a better indication of how long it will actually take you. But also, one of the things that used to annoy me when I was starting to follow tutorials was that I had to keep pausing them, because I tend to follow stuff on my phone rather than my laptop. I'm just cleaning excess off again just to buff over where the two colours meet. Yeah, I watch tutorials and stuff on my phone, so I'd have to keep pausing them, and then my screen lock would come on and I'd have to unlock it, and then you'd get another bloody ad click in again, and you think, oh, for God's sake, just want to get this eye look done. So I was determined I wasn't going to do that when I started my channel. I was going to have them as as real time, basically, so that you can follow me. Right, I'm going to use two different brushes now. I'm going to use this pencil brush and a slightly more tapered blending brush. Now, the reason I'm going in with the pencil brush first is because my lashes at the corners here do curl up quite a bit naturally, and I struggle when I'm trying to lay pigment down here. If I use this style, I either don't get it close enough to the edge, or I end up with some of these bristles going in my eye. So I lay the corner down with a pencil brush. And I think we'll go into let's go into kumquat. I used that under my eye last time. So let's promote it, shall we? And bring it up. And then pick up some kumquat on this. I'm just going to waggle that through the crease and just buff that corner there. I think I'm going to actually add a darker colour over the top of that. I'm going to go in with Drizzle, which is actually the darkest colour in the palette. I'm just going to deepen that up a little bit. I mean, obviously, if you want darker colours, you're going to have plenty of other palettes that have got them in. I mean, not just Jeffrey palettes. You know, most palettes will have Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can find a palette somewhere in your collection that's got a darker colour in it if you wanted it deeper. But I quite like these mid-tones. So yeah, just blending. That's a mixture of kumquat and drizzle. And this time I'm tilting my head back and I'm just twirling right on the crease so that we don't take the colour up at all. I'm literally just buffing that crease out where it sits. Okay, and then obviously we're going to repeat for the other eye. So we're going to start off with our kumquat, which to me, it's actually on my viewfinder, looks a really nice pumpkin colour. And we'll give that a waggle through our crease. And buff out that corner. And then I shall go into drizzle. And just deepen that corner up a little bit. And then go in with the fluffy brush, fluffier brush. And again, run that through. I'm a daft person because I didn't tap off the pencil brush, so I've got a little bit of fallout there. But as you can see, it dusts away nice and easily. Oh, looks like I should have put a bit of concealer there as well. Oh, not to worry. And then again, just tilt my head back and just buff along that line. Now I'm not going to do a cut crease today because I did one of those last time, but I am going to put the shimmer on more of my lid this time. So I'm going to finish doing all of the mattes first. So I'm going to get a brush like this. And I'm going to go in to, yeah, shall I do a blue under there or shall I do a green under there or not? I think I might go in with Splash, which is the green, turquoisey green. I'm just going to wiggle that under the bottom lashes. You can, I know some palettes have an issue with this particular shade, but as you can see, this one is very pigmented. It's not been designed to be a kind of a topper or a more sheer. All of the colours in this palette have pigment, so they can all be used to whatever depth of colour you want, basically. And no, that's not me casting shade at a certain other palette either, because if I was, I'd name the palette. And as I've only seen tutorials with that palette and I've not actually used it myself, I can only go on what I've seen, which is why I'm not naming the palette. Right, I'm going to go with this style of brush now. And I'm going to pick up some of Quench, which is the beautiful yellow. I'm just going to gently buff that that we just laid down, just to blend that colour out a little bit. And then I'm going to go into Taste Buds, which is the peach on the top, and buff over it with that one as well. so that we mirror some of the colour above, but we've still got a bit more of a dramatic lower line. Right, now comes the fun bit. I'm going to use this brush, which, as you can see, I didn't take all of the green off of yesterday, so I should be using this side of it, and I should be using this little brush. And I'm going to go into Snatched. I'm going to start off with the smaller brush. These really do feel like a paste almost. I'm just going to lay that right in the inner corner. And there's no glitter glue, and this is a dry brush. So once I've got that in the corner, I'm going to go in with the bigger brush and just continue to pack that onto the 2/3 of the lid that we hadn't put any colour on yet. And you can see, even going on with a dry brush and with no glitter glue, because you can see there were no pauses or anything. I didn't stop filming, just carried straight on, and yet you can see just that has just given it a really beautiful impact. So I am now going to repeat it on the other eye. So starting off with a small brush. Now this eye I do have to gently tug out a little bit because this is the one that got pulled around a lot when I was a kid at the ophthalmic hospital. And I know I struggle getting colour right into the inner corner because it folds over on itself so much, as you can see. I don't recommend you pull your eyelid around like this. Unfortunately, for me, I have to if I want to get any colour in there, because it's already been overstretched when I was a kid. Right, now go back in with the bigger brush. And continue to pack the colour on the 2/3 of the lid, which so far didn't have any. And you can see very, very little fallout from this, which, as a contact lens wearer, thank you very much, Jeffrey, means I can wear glittery stuff without worrying. What do you think? Maybe a little bit more on this side is needed. There we go. How pretty is that? Just going to dust away any fallout, which is currently looking like glittery freckles. Glittery freckles, now there's an idea. Right, I am now going to pause this while I go and do eyeliner and mascara and clean those brushes off properly. And I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hey, I'm back. I used my Renaissance Flicks to do my black eyeliner. and I used my Tarte Lights Camera Splashes because at the moment that's the only waterproof mascara I've got. I'm going to go back in with this little brush and I'm going to pick up Filthy Rich and pop that just on my inner corner here, and then continue it round to meet the colour that we put underneath her eye. Oh, and hubby's just coming out of the bathroom. Hey honey.
Hello there.
So I'm zoomed right in, you're not reflecting off of anything
Oh,
at the moment.
okay, darling.
So yeah, I'm just going to pop this into the corner like this, just to give it a bit of oomph. That's pretty. I really, really like this new formulation of shimmers that he's done. They definitely feel like a paste rather than a pressed pigment or a pressed glitter. And you can see they go on and they give you a nice bit of shine and glisten without the risk of glitter in your eyes, which is great if you wear contact lenses like me. Okay, I'm now going to use Peach Goddess. Love this. I'm just trying to, there you go, let's see. Pink holographic. Yay. Right, so I'm going to go in with this just to do under my brow here, as we've gone for sort of corally shades. I thought peach would be the best of my highlighters to use. Sorry if my white balance keeps going. Hubby's wandering backwards and forwards in front of the window.
Oh, sorry. I'll move. It's alright, there you go, I'll move.
Thank you, baby.
There we go.
Right, let's zoom you back out again. Now, one of the issues that Jeffrey's Skin Frosts do have, you can see this one's going to hard pan. That's because I was using it with a fan brush, and because Jeffrey's ones are so finely milled, and I think they must have some oils in them, you do tend to get hard pan if you use a loosely packed brush like a fan brush. So I've actually found either this style of brush or this style to be best, because even when it has gone to hard pan you can still pick colour up with it, as I will show you right now. See? You can still pick colour up. So I'll just put a little bit of this down the middle of the nose, and the cupid's bow, and the chin. Lovely. And then we'll just add some to the cheekbones as well, because, you know, we all want to glow really, don't we? Particularly in the summer. Particularly if you don't tan like me, you've got to get your glow somehow. And Jeffrey's Skin Frosts certainly do that. I mean, that's literally just the one. I mean, I would normally build this up 3 or 4 times so that I'm glowing like the Tin Man. But you can see that's just the one application. I might put a little bit just up on my temples actually, because I'm probably going to have my hair tied up, because we've got a barbecue at brother-in-law's today, so it's going to get hot, so I'm probably going to end up tying my hair up in a ponytail. So let's just put a little bit of shimmer around our temples there. Alrighty then. Right, for lippy today, because obviously it's a nice day, I'm actually going to go now. I don't like the normal NYX lingerie lipsticks because they dry down way too much. But I have bought out a new range of lingerie gloss. I believe they've also got shimmer and glitter, but I haven't tried either of those. This one is in shade Butter. So, because it's summer and because my lips are really struggling at the moment, even with exfoliating and moisturising them, I am going to use a lip gloss today. There we go. Right, I'm just going to do something with my hair and I'll be straight back for setting spray. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I am back. Haven't done much with it, just, you know, brushed it through my fingers really. Right, I'm going to go in with this Hyaluronic Fix from Revolution, which is a hydrating fixing spray. Because obviously all I'm really fixing is my eye makeup and my little bit of highlight, because there's no foundation to worry about, which is fab when it's hot like this. But if you think I'm not going to be extra with it just because I've got no foundation on, you clearly haven't watched many of my videos. Right, Peter Mon moment, ready? Getting quite good at this old fan flick nonsense, aren't I? So, there you go. There is a really nice, quick, summery look that will take you from a daytime barbecue through to going out in the evening without needing to put any foundation on. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, perhaps you could hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe. If you subscribe, hit the little bell. When you hit the bell, you now have two options: some notifications or all notifications. So make sure you click all notifications, otherwise if you click some notifications, from personal experience on other channels that I'm subscribed to, you don't get any notifications at all. And why would you want to miss the next one of these videos? I mean, really. Right, what's left for me to say is stay fabulous, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.